You know that three-digit number that can decide whether you get approved for an apartment, what interest rate you pay on a car, or even whether you land that job you applied for? Yeah, that number, your credit score. But here's the thing most people don't realize. This system that has so much power over your financial life wasn't created by the government, isn't mentioned anywhere in the Constitution, and is run by three private companies that you never signed up with but have been collecting data on you for years. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how credit scores actually work, who's making billions off this system, and why this invisible number might have more control over your life than you think. Let's dive in. Same house, same you, just a different number. Obviously, there's the big one, borrowing money. Want to buy a house? Your credit score determines whether you even get approved for a mortgage, and if you do, it decides your interest rate. And we're not talking small differences here. The difference between excellent credit and fair credit can mean paying tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands more in interest over the life of a loan. Let's make this concrete. Say you're buying a $300,000 house with a 30-year mortgage. With excellent credit around 760, you might get a 6.5% interest rate. With fair credit around 630, you might be looking at 8%. But it goes way beyond loans. Your credit score affects your ability to rent an apartment. Landlords routinely run credit checks, and a low score can mean you're denied outright, or you have to pay a bigger security deposit, or get a co-signer. Want to turn on utilities at your new place? Electric companies checking your credit. Phone company? Yep. Even some insurance companies use your credit score to determine your rates. And here's a wild one. More and more employers are checking credit scores as part of the hiring process, especially for jobs dealing with finances or sensitive information. So this number that most people don't fully understand, and that's calculated by a formula you're not allowed to see, is quietly acting as a gatekeeper to major life milestones and everyday necessities. Now let's talk about who's actually in charge of this system. Your credit score is controlled by three private companies: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These are the credit bureaus, and they're the ones collecting all that data about your financial life. Here's what's kind of crazy. You never signed up for this. You never agreed to let these companies collect information about you. But the moment you opened your first credit card, took out a student loan, or financed a car, data started flowing to these bureaus. Every payment you make, every time you're late, every time you apply for credit, every balance on every account, it's all being recorded and stored by these three companies. So where's all this money coming from? Equifax has files on over 800 million people worldwide. Experian has data on more than 1 billion people. These companies are massive and they're profitable. In 2023, Equifax alone brought in over $5 billion in revenue. TransUnion, about $3.7 billion. Experian, over $6 billion. But wait, who's paying them? Because you're not, right? The answer is the companies who want access to your information. Banks, credit card companies, lenders, landlords, insurance companies, employers, they all pay the credit bureaus for access to your credit reports and scores. Every time someone checks your credit, that's revenue for the bureaus. So in this system, you are the product. Your data, your financial behavior, your reliability as a borrower, that's what's being packaged and sold. All right, so how is this all-important number actually calculated? The most common credit score is your FICO score, developed by a company called Fair Isaac Corporation back in 1989. And while the exact formula is proprietary, meaning it's a trade secret, we know the general categories and their weightings. Payment history is the biggest factor at 35%. This is pretty straightforward. Do you pay your bills on time? Every late payment dings your score. Next is amounts owed, which accounts for 30%. This is mostly about your credit utilization ratio, how much of your available credit you're actually using. If you have a $10,000 credit limit and you're carrying a $9,000 balance, that's going to hurt your score, even if you're making all your payments. Length of credit history is 15%. The longer you've had credit accounts, the better. This is why financial advisors tell people not to close their oldest credit cards. Credit mix is 10%. Do you have a variety of credit types? Credit cards, car loans, mortgages? The algorithm likes diversity. And finally, new credit is 10%. If you're suddenly applying for a bunch of credit cards or loans, that can lower your score because it suggests you might be in financial distress. Now here's where it gets interesting. The exact formula, it's a black box. Fair Isaac won't tell you precisely how they calculate it, claiming it's proprietary business information. And there are actually dozens of different FICO score versions, plus competing scores like Vantage Score. The score you see on Credit Karma might be different from what your mortgage lender sees, and the credit score gives them a seemingly objective reason to charge it. So let's follow the money, because there's a whole ecosystem profiting from credit scores. First, obviously, the credit bureaus themselves. We already mentioned they're bringing in billions annually. They profit every time someone checks your credit, every time they sell your data, and through all kinds of adjacent services. Then there are the lenders, banks, credit card companies, mortgage lenders. Here's the thing, credit scores aren't just about determining who gets approved, they're pricing tools. Lenders use your score to justify charging different interest rates. And make no mistake, this is intentional. The credit scoring system helps lenders maximize profit by identifying who they can charge more while still being likely to get paid back. It's risk-based pricing, but it's also a system that ensures even people with less than perfect credit can borrow. They'll just pay more for the privilege. Then you've got the credit monitoring services, all those apps and websites offering to show you your credit score for free or for a monthly fee. Many of those are owned by or affiliated with the credit bureaus themselves. Experian offers paid credit monitoring. Equifax does too. They've turned the anxiety around credit scores into another revenue stream. Credit repair companies are another piece of the puzzle. These companies promise to improve your score, often charging hundreds of dollars for services you could technically do yourself, like disputing errors on your credit report. And here's an interesting one. Retailers and credit card companies that offer you free credit scores. Why are they doing that? Because once you're logged in checking your score, they can market credit products to you. Hey, your score is 680, you could get our new credit card. It's lead generation. The system creates anxiety, charges you for access to your own information, sells your data to others, and then sells you solutions to improve your standing. It's kind of brilliant from a business perspective, even if it's frustrating as a consumer. Now, credit scores aren't all bad. They've made lending more accessible in some ways by creating a standardized system. Before credit scores, lending decisions could be even more arbitrary and discriminatory. But there are real problems with the current system. First, errors are incredibly common. A 2021 Consumer Reports investigation found that 1/3 of Americans had mistakes on their credit reports. And fixing these errors? It's a nightmare. You have to dispute them with each bureau individually. It can take months, and there's no guarantee they'll fix it, even when you're right. Second, the system can perpetuate inequality. If you've never had access to credit, you can't build a credit history. This particularly affects young people, immigrants, and people from lower income backgrounds. You need credit to get credit. Third, the system penalizes financial responsibility in weird ways. Paid off all your debt and closed your accounts? Your score might drop because you have less credit history. Never missed a payment but you're using 50% of your available credit? Score goes down. And medical debt is a whole other issue. A medical emergency you couldn't afford can tank your credit score, making it harder to get an apartment or a job when you're already dealing with a health crisis. The good news, there are some changes happening. As of 2023, medical debt under $500 is no longer included on credit reports. Some lenders are starting to use alternative data like rent and utility payments to assess creditworthiness. There are calls for more transparency and better dispute processes. But fundamentally, we're still operating in a system where three private companies have enormous power over Americans' financial lives, operate with limited oversight, and profit from that power. So what can you do? Well, understanding the system is the first step, which you're doing right now. Check your credit reports regularly. You're entitled to free reports from each bureau annually at annualcreditreport.com. Dispute any errors you find. Pay your bills on time, keep your credit utilization low, and don't close old accounts. But more importantly, stay aware that this number, while it has real power, doesn't define your worth or even your complete financial picture. It's a tool created by corporations to assess risk and make money, and like any tool, it has limitations. The system isn't going away tomorrow, but the more people understand how it works and who it serves, the more pressure there is for reform. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more content, breaking down the financial systems that shape our lives. Your support helps us reach more viewers and spread awareness. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on credit scores. Have you dealt with errors on your report? What changes would you like to see? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.